Well, this video asking the question about the relevance of caffeine, alcohol, prescription medications, or recreational drugs, all very potentially tricky, but I think worth covering because people ask me this. Caffeine does have a brain effect. That's why people drink it. They may talk about drinking it to make themselves more focused, more awake. And for some people, they notice that they get a little bit jittery or anxious or agitated. In the context of visual snore syndrome, people do tell me that they could also notice that the size or the vibration of their visual static may change depending on their caffeine intake as well. So my recommendation for caffeine is really a pragmatic and practical one. Firstly, if you are drinking caffeine, consider what time is your last cup of caffeine, because the average quarter life of caffeine clearance is about 12 hours. So in other words, 12 hours after you've had your cup of coffee, a quarter of the amount of caffeine from that coffee is still in the system about 12 hours later. So I tend to say that if you're going to have a caffeinated drink and if you're going to bed maybe 10 or 11 p.m., then probably your last cup would be about 10 a.m. or so. And definitely not the post-dinner coffee, although people say that they have no problems falling asleep. The quality of sleep when we do brainwave tests in sleep studies show that it can affect sleep. What about alcohol? Alcohol, of course, also has an effect on the brain. That's why people drink, because they may want a different effect. And of course, people can get drunk when they drink too much, which is an indication of the brain effect from alcohol. In the context of visual snore syndrome, migraine is very common, and people do often have a negative impact of getting more migraines or being more prone to migraines when they have alcohol. So that's one of the reasons why I recommend somebody think about how much alcohol that they are drinking. Alcohol also affects the quality of sleep, and we spoke about the importance of sleep in another video in this video series. I commonly see in people in my clinics, perhaps those more in their 20s, is that they tend to have alcohol consumption a high amount in a short period, what we call a binge drinking pattern. The advice I would give by alcohol is firstly decide consciously, do you choose to drink, or are you drinking because it's a habit? If you are choosing to have a drink, why you're having it? If it's, for example, because it's part of a social connection, or if you really love the taste of a specific alcohol beverage, yes, go ahead and just make a choice about how much you're having and how often you're having it. Definitely avoid the binge drinking pattern. A small amount spread out is better than the same amount total in the week all bunched up in that 1 or 2 evenings. And you may even experiment. You may experiment with going alcohol-free for a month and see what happens. There is this very popular thing I see called Dry January, and the impact of avoiding alcohol for a whole month or being abstinent from alcohol for a whole month can have a remarkable benefit. So test it out, see how this works for you, and tailor it to yourself. Prescription medications. Well, there is a variety of effect of this. For some people, certain types of prescription medications has a benefit. For some, they talk about how it's worsened things. So for example, I've heard people taking certain types of antidepressants or anti-anxiety medication, for example, an SSRI, Prozac, or variations of such. For some people, they tell me that it makes it worse. For some people, they tell me it makes it better. So I think this is very individual. And ADHD medication, same thing. For some people, they have come to me because it developed when they first took ADHD medications. For some people, they feel that the ADHD medication has helped them with their visual snore syndrome. So make sure you talk to your healthcare professionals about this and tailor it accordingly. And definitely, please do not make any changes to your medication just on what you find online, including this video. Make sure you have a personal consultation with your healthcare professional so that you can make conscious decisions safely. Recreational drugs, when it was first described in the very early papers about visual snore, there was this comment whether it could be part of a visual hallucination from people who have taken hallucinogenic drugs or psychedelic drugs. Well, I think this does vary a lot, and we now understand that that is not necessarily a case for many people. I have come across various aspects. So, for example, somebody told me that they first noticed visual post effect after taking certain psychedelics, and that started them in the process of checking for more visual symptoms. So that may have been the process of how it happened for that person, but I've not deeply researched this in a systematic or methodical way with a large scale of numbers to tell you. So this is just anecdote. I've also come across people who have had a lot of nitrous oxide, and this changed the brain and caused their visual snow to get started. There is, at the moment of this recording, in certain parts of the United Kingdom, quite a large use of this compound, which is worrying because it does cause other neurological problems. And certainly B12 deficiency is one of the problems that arise from that misuse. If you are a user, I just want to say that no judgment, and make sure that you are not self-blaming as well. Knowledge is important, and with knowledge, I hope, comes choice and a decision to seek further discussions with the healthcare professionals to help you in a direction that you think would be helpful for you. So I hope that answers the question about caffeine, alcohol, prescription medications, and recreational ones. And I'll see you in the next video.